death. But oh, I just love you. Oh, I just love you. Tell my friends I gotta go, that I need rest, but I'm running for the phone. I think Casey knows, but oh, I just love you. Oh, I just love you. Watch now on my wrist, a collared shirt and hair clean cut, sculpted. I'm lying out the flaws. Come meet your new in-laws. Oh, here's the awkward pause when I look at you. I've caught myself off guard a time or two. There's 20 times I realize that I've been staring way too long and you're done talking.
Good morning, community. Today is Thursday, June 9th, and I'm gonna take you with me, vlogging as usual. I'm gonna head over to Target right now to go grab some things. You guys saw my list. I love making lists and then crossing everything out. Again, that's my ESTJ, my need for organization, my need for structure. So I'm gonna head over to Target, grab some things, including amlactin. Last night on Snapchat, I talked a little bit about how I have keratosis pilaris all over my arms and my legs and my butt. And I've had it my whole life, my whole family has it. And I asked people for suggestions for moisturizers and ways to kind of deal with KP. I'm not really bothered by it. I don't need to change myself. I don't want to fix myself. That's not it. It's just, I can absolutely do better about taking care of my skin in general, moisturizing my skin in general. It's a result of chronically dry skin. So I asked people for suggestions, and like a third of the suggestions were this product called amlactin. So I just need to take better care of my skin. So that's gonna be actually on my like June monthly goals list, and I'll show you guys that calendar and where I'm at right now. So as you can see, 25, 20, 10, 35, 20, 25, 15, 20, and then obviously I haven't done cardio yet today, but I've done a lot of cardio so far, and I'm just trying to increase my NEAT, increase my TDEE, just so that I can eat more food and also just be more active throughout the day. Kyle just walked in the door. I asked him if he wanted to go to Target, but he says no.
Because I just worked. That is why.
We're off. Someone asked me yesterday, Jezzy Kang on Instagram, she asked me if I would consider doing a vlog talking about grad school and what that was like for me, how in particular I maintained motivation through procrastination and through the stress and anxiety of exams. I was really, really blessed to be able to, you know, go straight from my undergrad right to grad school, and it was only probably around like a 2-month gap because I went from a quarter system to a semester system. The quarters end in June and then the semesters begin in August. So I started grad school right away. But it's interesting how a lot of the fitness community is very well educated, and I'm interested in talking about the overlap between fitness and academic education, and actually in particular how that affected me. And I think that for me at least, they're hugely intertwined. As I was able to, I think, learn more in grad school and give myself a vocabulary in grad school to understand the world around me, right? Because I studied critical theory and feminism and post-colonial literature. Those things were, I mean, really pertinent to what was happening to me in my fitness journey. I needed to develop a new sort of vocabulary to understand myself and my body and my training and my experiences with that. So I think that they're very interconnected, and I'm glad that Jezzy Kang, or Jezzy Kang, I think, I'll put her username down below. I'm glad that she asked this question, so I'm gonna think about it a little bit, and I'll make some clips for you guys about that throughout the day.
Should I stop breathing? Such a mess. I'm rushing to open your car door. You're leaning open mind before I can turn the key, and oh, I just love you. Oh, I just love you. I'm trying to say hi on your break. In less than 20 words, you made my whole damn day. And oh, I just love you. Oh, I just love you. In the coffee shop, you sipped your...
Okay, I'm home. Of course, I spent more money than I wanted to spend because that's freaking Target. Kyle's over there. I think you're writing client plans.
Yeah.
So while I'm unpacking my stuff, I figured I would give the first little bout of my thoughts about grad school. So I graduated from grad school about a year ago, a little bit over a year ago, and I graduated from UC Irvine in 2012. And then I immediately came up to college here in the Bay Area. My original goal, I think, in college was I thought I was going to be a lawyer. I thought I was going to go to law school. And then that changed because I became an English major. Then my next goal was, I'm going to go straight from undergrad to a PhD program. And that kind of fell apart because I was like, you know what, that's not what's going to happen. So I decided to go to a master's program instead. And if I still wanted to pursue a PhD in English, then I could do that in the future. So I kind of realized that I needed some experience. I needed to get a lot more reading under my belt for me to be sort of competitive to apply to PhD programs, at least in literature. It's funny because now my thought process has totally changed, and if I did pursue a PhD again in the future, it would actually probably be in composition and rhetoric. I came to my graduate school kind of knowing that I was going to that I was going to be in a very different environment. I mean, the environment at UC Irvine is very focused on critical theory. It's very focused on sort of literary history, and they studied the canon there, but things are just much more intensive, I think, than I knew that they had probably been in undergrad programs at a state school at San Jose State. When I came to the graduate program, I realized, I'm the youngest person here. Mostly everyone was much older than me. I'm 21 years old. Everyone was actually just as well read as I was. Some weren't, some didn't, read pieces where I was like, how have you not read this, But entering into a new environment, for me, was scary, but also encouraging because there were people around me who were just as smart, people who were just as interested in studying literature, just as interested in pursuing this higher level of education in English literature. And so for me, that made things much, easier to kind of fall into because everyone around me was just as engaged with the material, and I could have high-level, deep conversations about, Chaucer and Charles Dickens, things that I just couldn't do with my normal friends, I guess. And so I seek out people who know things that I don't. One of my good friends, Kira, she once said, Ilyssa, you ask a lot of questions. And it's because I'm inquisitive. It's because I'm a sponge. I want to know everything, at least a little bit of everything. I want to absorb knowledge. It's very important to me. And so coming to grad school for me was actually a very exciting thing. It was scary, yes, but it was very exciting because I knew that I was going to be able to absorb so much new knowledge, not only from my professors, but from my cohorts, right? From the people that joined the program as well. So that's sort of the mentality I had coming into grad school. And I'm glad that I had that mentality because things got really difficult, and I think having that framework of this is knowledge, I want to seek knowledge, having that in the back of my mind made things a bit easier when that anxiety and that stress kind of came up in the future.
Drinking, we all sat and talked. My mind wandered off alone to find a thought. Is beauty poured out when you talk? You stand still in my sight. A switch got hit somewhere back in my mind. Just then I realized that what I had to do was I couldn't stand to look at you across another crowded room and know that you would not be mine. Oh, time drags its feet.
I just got a pretty cool email from someone, and I'm not going to say her name just in case because I haven't asked her if it was okay. But she said, "Good afternoon, Ilyssa. I found your social media YouTube presence somewhat recently. I'm consistently impressed by your strength of character, your convictions, your self-awareness." I'm not going to go into all the things that she says about me because she's wonderful and she's so kind to me, the things that she says. But she says, "I follow a relatively small number of fitness personalities, including you, M. Dunk, Katie Hearn, Hayden Schneider, Nick Tong, etc. Obviously, these few individuals are not representative of the entire industry as a whole, but I've started to notice one trend I'd like to hear your input on. The majority of the fitness personalities one sees on YouTube or Instagram have some level of unnatural enhancements. A lot of women have breast augmentations, and a lot of men use anabolic steroids. It seems as though the women, at least the women that I follow, are always upfront and honest about what parts of their body are earned in the gym and which ones are add-ons. So she talks about how most girls, who have add-ons unnatural add-ons, whatever, whether it's their breast augmentations or their eyelash fills or their fake nails or their hair extensions, whatever, they're open and honest about them. And I think that's true for the most part. As individuals in the public spotlight, they are aware that there are girls and women who may see their photos and think, I want to look like them, and without being honest about the parts of their body that they had to buy, not sure how else to say that, she says, those girls and women could feel inadequate, incapable, or less than if they can't achieve that look. Personally, my programming in the gym, and she talks about her own experience, whatever. She said, on the other hand, I have not seen an equivalent level of honesty in many of the male fitness personalities in the public spotlight. Even to my untrained eye, it's usually just as easy to spot a man who uses steroids as it is to a woman with fake breasts. Yet the topic of steroid use is somehow taboo in the public social media environment. It almost angers me that so many men, and yes, some women, but it's more prevalent in men, she says, that I'm focusing on them for the sake of this discussion, will tout the benefits of their exercise and nutrition regimens without ever making mention of such an important component of their progress. I'd love your feedback and input on this double standard. I do think it's a double standard. Anecdotally, I've seen women take way more heat for wearing too much makeup than men who are pumped up full of steroids, and so on and so forth. So I emailed her back, and first I want to say this. I have no problem actually with drug usage. It doesn't bother me, don't care. I'm not judgmental towards people who use drugs, don't care. If you want to use drugs, you're going to use drugs. It is what it is. I have no need to because I don't compete, right? Like, I'm not a high-level competitor. If you don't think that every single high-level competitor in every sport ever is using drugs, then you are blind and you are fooling yourself. Every top-level competitor is using drugs. And, I mean, every bodybuilder, figure competitors, women's physique competitor, like, come on, everyone's using drugs. So it is what it is, right? So I have no problem with it. It is what it is, right? So that's the first thing. I want to strip this of a judgmental tone towards drug usage. And so in any case, I responded back to her and I said, I appreciate your considerate thoughts here. I would need more time to write a more eloquent response because you guys know me, like, I need some time to think about things. But I said, here are my immediate thoughts. There are two parts to this, a pragmatic one and a more complicated and insidious one. So here's the pragmatic reason that men don't talk about steroid usage. Steroids are illegal. So plain and simple, that's why it's not talked about. Women don't talk about steroid usage either. Most of the women that you see on Instagram and YouTube in the figure level and above, and most IFBB bikini pros too, they're all running drugs. They are on VAR or they're cutting with HGH, like everyone is, right? So no one's talking about it because it's illegal. They'll lose their sponsorships. Like, that's the most pragmatic reason. That's why it's not talked about. And if that seems like a cop-out, well, I mean, that's the truth, right? People don't talk about it because it's illegal. Recently though, Gracie V, she went on Meg Squat's YouTube channel and talked all about her drug usage, right? And that was really, really awesome. And I love that she was vulnerable and honest about that. So here's the more complicated reason. And this is my belief, right? Women are expected to justify near everything about their existence, and it's exhausting. Men are not held to the same inquisitive, demeaning, and often violating persecutions of character nearly as often as women are, because men are the standard by which women are measured. It goes back to my conversation about binary oppositions. We understand what a woman should and should not do because of what the dominant man does and claims. Men aren't asked if they want to have children often, what their wedding rings look like, what they are wearing if they are assaulted, why they want to eat a burger, and so on and so forth. Men aren't asked to justify their existence. I mean, of course, there are going to be cases where men are going to be asked to justify their decisions, but women are constantly asked to do these things. And it's because women enacting some imperious prowess, it's unnatural. And that's what I said to her. And so I'd have to think a little bit more about this, but I think that's really the case. I mean, women feel the need to, and I mean, I think this is part of maybe the reason why on social media I felt such a strange sense of anxiety. I felt the need to justify near everything I was doing, right? Because women are held to that standard and men aren't really held to that same standard. So that's my response to her. And so if you guys are, interested in this topic, please comment down below and let me know what your thoughts are on maybe why women are constantly sort of justifying maybe their unnatural add-ons or the decisions that they make, where we don't really see men making as many justifications for their actions. All right, it's time to train some upper. I just got to 1825/IBStrong Gym, and I'm gonna film that for you guys.
Somehow you sneak it past me night after night. At this rate, if you stay with me, you'll go to bed at 23 and wake up 65. Well, next to you, that would be just fine. That'd be just fine. I'm rushing to open your car door. You're leaning open, might be for all. I just love you, oh, I just love you. Come to say on your back. You made my whole damn day. Oh, I just love you, oh, I just love you. Oh, I just love you, oh, I just love you.
I see you.
People don't already know.
This is Irina / Poison Ivy.
Hello.
She's mediocre at everything, right? No, actually pretty good now. Pretty good now. What are you training right now? Are you doing powerlifting?
Weightlifting.
Weightlifting.
Weightlifting, snatches,
That's a cute sports bra.
everything that's ever cute.
We're like dominating girls over here. Oh, there's Cat Van B's butt over there. Cat Van B. What are you doing today? Are you doing?
know.
Yeah, look at your hair right now. I love it. What are your complexes today?
Whatever the fuck I want.
Final thing is triceps, and then just some shoulder prehab, and then I'm out of here. Well, I gotta do cardio later, but yeah.
You're like a constant crowd and constant in. I'm a claustrophobic. I said where's comfortable as warm and naked intimates. Thank God your words have come to rescue me from my sentence. You're like a two-stepping tongue on a flesh dance floor. You're the eulogy I can't afford anymore. That tumor in my side, celebrating malignant surprise. I'm moving in. I think I've grown on your parents. You wanna talk about all the feelings I'm feeling? I'm a passed out priest in an AA meeting, and they're checking my pulse, trying to make a decision. I got those rollback eyes, but nothing's clouding my vision. You're like a knock at the door in the middle of dinner from the bread.
Hello community, so I am back home. I'm actually watching the Sharks game right now, and it's the end of the second period. I am in between the second and third period, and the Sharks are winning right now, but by the end of this video, I don't know what will have happened. So I'm gonna talk a little bit about what happened when I actually got to grad school and got going. When I first came up here, I was very alone. I didn't know where I was. I didn't know how to get around up in the Bay Area. That combined with the fact that I had to make a whole new set of friends, and that a lot of the people at, my graduate college, they were all a lot older than me. They had families, or they already had other friends because they were, they did their undergrad at San Jose State, or they were, San Jose natives. I just didn't really know where I was gonna fit in quite yet. That was very stressful, trying to manage a whole new group of friends, a whole new environment, an entirely new curriculum that was obviously much higher level than my undergrad. And so what I needed to be able to do is actually just envelop myself in my work. Both, I was working at a restaurant, and also just envelop myself in reading. I found that actually pulling out not only the texts that I was assigned in my graduate courses, but supplementary texts alongside that to continue and further my education. It made me feel really comfortable in the classroom. So not only did I have things to talk about, whatever the assigned reading was, but I was like, drawing from various places, and that gave me conversations to have with lots of other people within the group, people who had different interests even outside the course theme. So that was something that was a really, really good idea for me to do, to not just read the coursework that is assigned in your graduates classes, but to also read supplementary material. If you are going to pursue a graduate degree, above just a BA or a BS, you have to understand that it is about academia. It is about knowledge and learning. It's higher education for a reason. And so it's not just like let me just check that off the list. Let me just pursue a master's degree. It's gonna be a lot more work, and you need to be prepared and ready for that. So it is not for the faint of heart. Graduate school is really for someone who is particularly interested in becoming a lifelong academic, someone who wants to seek knowledge always and forever, someone who's interested in not just learning what's in the course, but actually everything that influenced that course material, everything that influenced those themes. In English literature, for example, a modern class. I took this class in modernism, and so of course we read Ulysses by James Joyce. Well, I needed to understand James Joyce. I needed to understand everything that came before that. I needed to understand why he wrote the way that he did. I needed to talk about Finnegan's Wake, which is an even longer text that Joyce wrote. And so in order to really ground yourself in the course material, you need to know everything that kind of came before that and everything that was influenced as a result of that. The second thing that kind of goes along with that I would recommend to people is your teachers, your professors, they don't necessarily expect you to read every single page. There's no way. They're gonna assign you huge texts, and you're not gonna be able to get through the entire thing. You just won't be able to. And so you need to learn how to skim, and you need to learn how to read Shmoop. shmoop.com. It's actually a Bay Area based company, way better than SparkNotes, and I would highly recommend it for anyone. If you're an undergrad or if you're in graduate school, you need to be able to read the cliff notes of things so that you can have a conversation about it in the classroom. Graduate courses are pretty teeny. I had maybe a max of about 12 people, but usually around 8 to 10 people in a graduate course, at least where I went. And so you're going to be expected to have to know the material and to talk about it. If you don't have time to read the 400 pages that were assigned to you last week, then you got to stay on top of it. You are going to impress professors. You're going to find, an advisor, someone who is going to guide you through your graduate study if you actually prove to them that you are engaged in the material. Your professors are teaching class about that particular subject or that particular area of interest because that's what they're usually experts in. So if you are interested in something, go and see them in their office hours. If you are an undergraduate student or a graduate student, you should be visiting your professors in office hours. When it comes to time management in graduate school, that's just something that you're gonna have to understand is going to be very difficult. I had a part-time job at the same time that I was in graduate school all throughout. I still needed to read 400 pages, for one class, and, times that by 1,200 pages in a week. And then to write these huge seminar papers of 17 to 20 pages about these things, you need to stay on top of your work. And so you're gonna have to prioritize things. I really had to perfectly time out my day. I had to utilize a planner so I could know when I was going to the gym, when I was going to be working with clients, when I was going to spend time with Kyle, when I was going to do, my shopping and my meal prep. It was just a huge list of items that I needed to accomplish, but I was actually very comfortable with it because I wrote it out for myself and I kept track of it. Gatsby's tale. I had a fully organized list of things to do every single day, and that's what kept me on top of it, is externalizing and writing things down and knowing exactly what I needed to do so that there were no surprises. love learning so much that the graduate courses were really not the most difficult part of grad school for me. It was more so the exams that were the most difficult part for me. Because the exams, at least for my master's program, were huge, comprehensive things where you had to know maybe 6 to 10 texts really, really well so that you could answer 3 essay-long questions about those texts, and you had to know them like the back of your hand. And so you had to spend time and you had to dedicate time to studying for things that you really had no clue if you could actually use that text for that question on the exam. You knew that the exam questions were going to be pretty broad, but to be able to write, 3-4 pages about one book and how that fits in with the themes of the question, that was very scary for me. Writing a seminar paper, I know exactly what I have to write. I know what my interests are in the course, and I can fit things in and I can fit quotes in from the text. But what was really difficult for me was that open-ended essay-long question. But because I spent a lot of time preparing, and I spent time in study groups, and I made lots of notes, and I knew certain texts extremely well, I passed both parts of the exam. I took one semester and one the next semester. That's what my program recommended that I do, and I was able to graduate. So I know that I've been a bit all over the place, but I guess what I have to say is accept that grad school is gonna be hard. Accept that you're going to have to prioritize and organize your time extremely well. Accept that there are going to be open-ended questions and exams where you're going to be asked to think critically and examine things in analytical ways that you really never have done before. And finally, know that the cohort that you're around and the graduate students you're around, they're going to be damn smart. So actually don't be intimidated by that, but absorb that and form study groups and get to know the people that you work with because you can glean knowledge from them. Oh, and fifth, get to know your professors because that's super, super important.
About all the feelings I'm feeling. You're a phone call home after 8 long seasons. There's a mail order bride and a baby that's teething. Said the small girl hurts your eyes, so on the next train you leave it. I'm not certain it's a small girl, just a constant gravy, but you drop